Alright, and here on our news from Times Tabloid, it says, Pundit, read this before you buy XRP. Now, imagine you are standing at a train station. For years, people around you have been shouting that a high-speed bullet train to financial freedom is arriving any second. So, you bought your ticket, you're packed and ready. But every time a train pulls in, it's a slow moving freight engine. So today, the news around XRP is louder than ever. We see the same posts every day: $100 tomorrow, $500 by next week, $1,000 by Christmas. But a prominent analyst on XRP Lena, just dropped a massive reality check that every single one of us needs to hear before we put another dollar into this asset. Are we being led by visionaries, or are we just listening to a broken record? So, let's get into why the promises might be distracting you from the actual price. So, let's start with our very first question, that is it time to stop believing in the $1,000 XRP dream? For a long time, the community has been fueled by triple digit and even four digit price targets. Analyst here, XRP Lena, recently took to X to urge investors to stop relying on these massive promises. According to Lena, these forecasts have been recycled for years, while the actual measurable progress of the asset moves at a much more deliberate and slower pace. So, this is where my personal opinion comes in. I've seen this cycle play out repeatedly. It's easy to get intoxicated by the idea of a $1,000 price tag, but we have to ask ourselves, is that goal making us blind to the risk? I believe that while these high targets are possible in a perfect world scenario, fixating it on them makes investors susceptible to emotional exhaustion. We need to stop looking at XRP as a lottery ticket and start looking at it as a piece of global infrastructure. If you are only here for the moon, you might miss the building of the launch pod. So, are recycled price predictions harming the community? XRP Lena argues that these unrealistic expectations have becoming a recurring, almost toxic theme in our sector. The post highlights that the same high price projections are repeated year after year, often without new developments to justify them. This creates a loop where investors expect extraordinary valuations while ignoring the structural realities of the market. So, this is where my opinion comes in. I completely agree with the sentiment that recycled hype is dangerous. It creates a boy who cried wolf scenario. When a real positive development happens, like a new banking partnership or a regulatory win, it often gets ignored because it doesn't immediately result in a $500 price spike. So, in my view, the hopium culture actually devalues the hard work Ripple is doing. We should be celebrating the slow, steady grind of adoption rather than waiting for a magical flip of the switch that might not exist in the way we imagine. Right? Now, why are regulation and institutional adoption the only metrics that matter? Instead of focusing on the price, XRP Lena points us toward the core drivers. And these are the regulation, institutional participation, liquidity, and practical use cases. These aren't things that happen over a weekend. They require deep cooperation between giant financial institutions and world governments. This is the boring stuff that actually builds value. So, in my opinion, this is the engine of the train. You can paint a train gold and call it a express. A millionaire express. But if the engine doesn't have fuel, it isn't going anywhere. XRP's value proposition has always been its utility as a bridge currency. If banks aren't using it for liquidity, the price is just retail speculation. I believe we should be tracking on-chain volume and wallet growth more than we track the 24-hour price chart. That is where the truth is hidden. All right. Now the next question is patience the hardest part of the XRP journey? The modern market rewards short-term excitement. We live in a world of 15-second TikToks and instant gratification. But as XRP Lena points out, build the system capable of handling the world's financial activity can take years or even decades. The challenge isn't the technology, it's the psychology of the investor. So, my opinion about this is that patience isn't just about waiting. It is about how you wait. I've observed that the most successful people in this space are the ones who can tune out the noise. So I think the reason so many people lose their cool with XRP is that they've been told the wealth transfer is coming any day now for 5 years straight. So what I can say about this is that we need to settle in for a marathon. If you are checking the price every 10 minutes, you are going to burn out long before the real utility-driven rally arrives. So what is the risk of ignoring the slow developments? Lena warns that if you don't understand the asset and the factors influencing it, you risk falling short of your own expectations. If you don't know why you hold, you're all going to sell at the first sign of a dip or the first sign of a boring sideways market. So I've seen so many people sell their bags right before a move because they were bored. That is the ultimate tragedy of the retail investor. I believe that understanding the slow developments, like the integration of the XRP ledger into central bank digital currency or CBDC pilots, is what gives you diamond hands. When you understand the plumbing of the global financial system, you realize that XRP is being built into the pipes. You don't get mad that the plumber is taking his time. You just want to make sure that the pipes don't leak when the water starts flowing. All right. As an overall conclusion, the message from XRP Lena is very clear, and that is stop looking for shortcuts. The path to a higher XRP valuation is paved with regulatory clarity, bank adoption, and global liquidity, not social media posts promising $1,000. So as a market observer, my final takeaway is this. Treat your XRP like a long-term business investment, not a trip to a casino. The hype will come and go, and the recycled predictions will never stop. But the utility of the XRP ledger is a fact that grows every day. So if you can master your own patience and focus on the fundamental data, you'll be much better positioned than those chasing the latest viral forecast. Alright, and this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching and see you on the next one, or you might just as well check this recommended video right here.